Tron Ares, it sounds like it took a while for you to make it to production. Can you tell us how and when you got involved on the movie?
Well, I was invited to join the project by the lead actor, Jared Leto, who's also one of the producers of the film. And we had worked together, some 25 years ago on Fight Club. And so he gave me the script and had me take a peruse of it. And we both saw eye to eye in the sense that we wanted to get away from a traditional sci-fi movie and kind of follow and emulate something that my father shot, the original Blade Runner. And so we went after it trying to achieve sci-fi with humanity and get that experience going. And so that was our goal, and that started in January of 2023. And there was quite a bit of evolution in the prep, and I ended up prepping for about 20 weeks, and then the actor strike happened, and that pushed us right up to the holidays, and so we didn't start principal photography until January of 2024, and then we shot through May, and then have revisited some of the scenes and sets a few times since then to pick up stuff.
Sounds like quite the endeavor. How did you approach the visual style, especially given, with the Tron Legacy franchise?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because the original that Bruce Logan photographed back in the 70s was such a innovative new hand painted images because visual effects were not what they are today, and so that was really game changing what they did on the original Tron. And then of course in 2016 or 2010 they did Tron Legacy that Joe Kosinski directed and Claudio Miranda photographed, and a majority of their movie was either in the web itself or in the digital world with very little time in the real world. Our movie transcends that, and we get both the digital world and they come into the real world. So we went into it with the idea when you're in the Tron program world, it's precious, it's perfect, it's mechanical, which is where we incorporated a lot of the SISU arm movements and whatnot. And then when they got into the real world, it's the first time programs that digital people made it to the real world. And we wanted to have this kind of a chaotic humanity grit of a downtown dirty city and kind of gloss those visuals. So it really kind of made a perfect palette for me.
How would you describe the aesthetic of Tron Ares in contrast to the previous? Was there a...
Yeah, I really, really enjoyed what Claudio did on Legacy, but it was very clean and very polished and very mechanical, and as it would have been, because they find Jeff Bridges, they revisit, his world, and then the contrasting, bad characters, Dillinger's world. For me, because I had an opportunity to bring them in and out of those two worlds, we kind of paid homage to the perfection, to the color saturation, to the cleanliness and crispness of the images, and we're really sterile and digital and mechanical. And then when they come into the real world, all hell breaks loose. Yeah. And then a lot of nights, and then, we did 7 weeks of nights, and so in a row. And you feel it. It's got a lot of texture, and that was the goal: is to go from the two different worlds. The one with life and humanity that's touchable, that you can relate to, and this digital cleanliness, kind of pure.
So cameras and lenses. I know it's a good story. How did you
Yeah,
arrive at that decision? Because of
yeah,
course you're known for red.
exactly. Well, go back one movie on Being the Ricardos. I shot on the red, and I went to Ari and asked if I could use the DNA, the smaller format DNA glass, and no one had done that yet. I crossed formats or cross company really, and they were all into it, and I thought we made a beautiful film. And when Tron came along, I had always intended on shooting with red, and I went back to Ari, and there was some hesitation about. It was such a big show, and it was all happening in Vancouver, and Ari Reynolds in Vancouver is competing with some of the other companies up there. And so rather than just let Tron use their glass. They bought Red cameras and they combined together, and there was a big announcement like Tron gets Arri and Red to join forces to deliver, the Raptor with the large format DNA lenses that we used. Originally we went into it, the director and I, Joachim Roning, were going to shoot anamorphic, but IMAX came in and wants to display this film, and if IMAX wants to be part of your picture, if you're that fortunate, then you got to jump on that, because unbeknownst to me, 20 or 30% of a box office comes from IMAX if it's an IMAX film. Huge amount. So IMAX doesn't, you can't use anamorphic. You got to be a spherical format, for it to fit in their IMAX theaters. And so we switched back from going down the path of anamorphic and went with the DNA large format glass and framed, composed for 240, but actually covered for 79 for the IMAX presentation, and couldn't have been happier.
So, Mike, I know you were Jeff's senior motion control operator on the movie, and we're just wondering if you can give us a quick background and tell us about your involvement with the movie.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Mike Morgan. I'm here. I'm an operator of these beautiful machines here, these SISU Cinema Robots. So I'm here representing them. So we got involved with this particular project about a year or so before we started shooting. But yeah, we just kind of had a connection there, and we're able to do a demo with some of the big wigs there on the project, and I was lucky enough to be able to be that operator, to be there on set and operating these on that movie.
What Mike and Sisu brought to me as a cinematographer in Tron was they broke the barriers of how long it takes to set up something motion control. It's such a quick system. It gave us so many opportunities within a shooting day. And we had a very specific time that we wanted to use it. We didn't use it as much for repeatable motion as much as we wanted to create in this digital world, when they're in the web, this very mechanical program perspective of things. And so we created these really magical shots that are too rigid and are very, very like robotic, and they were very complicated. So, and then sometimes we combined, like a techno crane shot and then mirrored into the motion control shot, the one handoff to the next to take over.
Yeah, if I can add to that, it was very cool. I was only involved in the grid, right? Because like you said, that was the whole idea. Is it's got that mechanical feel, that computeristic feel when you're in the computer. So I was really, I thought it was awesome when the trailer, when this teaser came out, to be able to see the other side of that in the real world, and kind of that contrast in those camera moves and in just the look and feel. So that was cool.
One of the major advantages of using SISU is their safety protocols and the way an operator can handle and control this robotic arm. And we had some shots in our film where we had Jared Leto laying on his back in a 12-inch probe lens, half an inch from his eyeball, and rotated the camera up and then pulled back away from him. And that is terrifying. And these guys, like double fail-safe safety, came up with this immaculate shots.
Yeah, that there's a story to that shot too, right? Like that one was really interesting because we had the opportunity to pre-program that with the body double, and it was looking great. Everybody loved it. We bring in Jared Leto, and he's laying on this table, right, where he regenerates, and his suit was a little bit different or something, and so he was up off the table a little bit more than the body double. So right there on the table, I had to reprogram that shot. That was one of the most stressful moments of my life, and we had Sam's here somewhere. He's my assistant, and he was sitting there with the e-stop and watching, because again, we were in less than an inch from his eye. Very, very stressful. But that shot, actually, part of that shot's in the teaser too, where it kind of comes down his body, and you see the CGI and then those VFX as his suit builds. But yeah, that was the first shot we did. Um, so that was a good introduction to that whole world of Sean Aries and Disney movies for me.
See, I didn't know that story. That's fantastic. And that's exactly the reason why I got involved with SISU Cinema, because all the other guys can do that too, but I don't know another system that could reprogram that quickly on the spot and on the fly. And I suspect that's why Jeff was comfortable using motion control robots as part of the main unit when one would normally have a second unit or a B unit or a completely different shoot going on, correct?
Yeah, that was always the pushback and apprehension from production is the amount of time it takes and how everything else stops while this is happening. And Mike and the team were so quick that we were able to, complete normal production days with 10, 15, 20 setups per day and efficiently do it. And it really makes a difference for that part of the movie, for that story.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, not to get too salesy here, but we went in thinking we were going to do 4 shots. We ended up doing 12, right? So that was awesome to see, kind of that to see Yoakum and yourself, like seeing how we are able to do that, program the shots and add shots. So that was fun.
We used 2 different arms too, right?
Yeah, we use, so this one right here. This is called a C31. We use this arm. We also had one on 20 feet of track.
Was there any other sort of a particularly challenging or memorable shots that you can describe without giving too much away, perhaps?
Go ahead.
I think, I think I did more math on this shoot than I've done on any other shoot, because this is a huge production, huge sets, right? So we were pushing the limits of the robots, pushing them to their extremes. So I was on a piece of paper drawing, the reach of the arm and where we need to place the robot to be able to maximize that reach. The one that comes to mind is with, I think it was Athena, the character, where she's standing up on, all the sets are raised, by the way, on this production, and the sets are just immaculate, that was one of the challenges that I was not ready for, is just moving these robots around on these pristine acrylic floors. And so that was a challenge for sure. But this particular shot was, the set's 10 feet raised, so we put ours on a deck as well, and so I had to figure out exactly what that height had to be in order to maximize the reach from this angle, and it kind of comes up to her, above her face. And so that one was fun. We were able to put it on the deck once they got it built, and as soon as they're ready, we just rolled the deck right in, and we were able to get the shot.
Allows you to do crazy shots. I think we were 15 feet below her and ended up going up above her. It's a huge story point, and the shot had margins of like half an inch on either side, like the way that we had to navigate through it. And it was really fun to watch how quickly Mike programmed it, and we were able to kind of alternate and adjust to different performances, adjust to where Jodie Turner-Smith landed. Super helpful.
How's that shot looking, by the way?
It's beautiful.
Good to hear. Excited to see it.
When do we get to see it?
It's going to be released 10/10, machine language, October 10th.
Have you seen the cut yet?
I have not. Nope. I've seen the teaser like you guys. The visual effects are forever on this movie. And once that finishes up, I'll start doing the DI in July.
And I'm sure you'll be on another movie by then, too.
Hope to be.
Generally speaking, Mike, what's something that most people may not realize about motion control robots and how they can be used?
Yeah, I think these robots are still pretty new. Like, people really aren't super familiar with them. I think we're all familiar with the typical ways of moving camera, and I think we tend to kind of think in those terms, right? We kind of constrain ourselves to the cranes and the dollies, and it's really fun working with DPs who haven't worked with the arms before, because it's so fun to like start to move the robot around and program a couple of pretty dynamic shots and see that light switch, see that light bulb go off, like, oh, we can do that. We can move the camera in ways that we've never done before. So that's really fun to see. And that happens fairly frequently, just to see that light bulb go off and realize that there really aren't limitations on your movement. I mean, obviously there are, right? You're limited to the reach of the arm and axes, but as far as within that bubble, like, we can put it anywhere. And I think going back to that demo we did with some of the big wigs at Disney there, that was what we wanted to show, right? Is we were able to go from this macro eyeball shot and pull back, or I think maybe it was the other way around, where we're pushing in from a full body to a macro shot. And there's not a lot of ways you can do that.
So I've known Jeff 36 years now in the industry, and Mike's newer to the industry. What was it like working with Jeff, Mike?
I'm on the spot.
You put me on the spot here. It was awesome. I mean, obviously, Jeff is incredibly talented. We've all seen that in his movies. But I think even the most talented DP out there, if you don't have the people skills, and you're not going to be a successful cinematographer. So, and Jeff has that. It was incredible to watch him work in some stressful moments, and just cool as a cucumber. That was very inspiring to see him work in that way and manage expectations, manage people. So props to Jeff for that.
I think it takes both sides. I was very fortunate in my career to grow up with some very, very talented cinematographers, and none of them, ever manifested their insecurities onto the people that were helping them create those images. And I feel like people that do that, it's an extension of that nervous energy that is not conducive to making like products work out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, like you mentioned, this was the biggest production I've ever been on, right? I've been doing this for about 6 years, and I've never done anything of this magnitude. So I was nervous. I was nervous coming into this, right? But Jeff, I mean, he put me at ease and very easy to work with. I kind of saw him as a mentor in that way. Kind of showed me the ropes of how it's done, and on a set like this, and it was awesome.
Well, I shouldn't tell you this, but I've been in it for 43 years, and I was nervous. It's not bad to be nervous. Fear can be your friend as long as you embrace it. Keeps you on your toes, keeps you fresh, keeps you pushing boundaries, and stop yourself from being complacent artistically.
Got any advice for the younger gen coming up, Jeff?
Yeah, shoot as much as you can. Shoot every format, no cameras, but watch stories, because ultimately all we are doing is supporting stories, and it starts there. So, we're just an extension of people being able to absorb, vicariously through images.
Well, we at SISU Cinema Robotics certainly appreciate your support, as always. And thank you for having us on the movie and giving us a chance to be there.
Thanks for all the hard work and delivering absolutely beautiful shots.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you. Thank you very much, guys. Appreciate your time.